I was born in Grenfell Tower. It was my home for 25 years. After seeing the heart of my estate burn, I can't sleep. That night will follow me and my peoples for the rest of our lives. You won't see any shots of the fateful night in this film. We never want to see that again. Grenfell burned for local and global reasons. There's a bigger picture that I learn more about every day. We talk politics now and how we can take power, because we learned that we have to look after ourselves. Grenfell changed everything. The deadly consequences we suffered make the cranes loom in the horizon in different, more threatening ways now. I live in Kensington and Chelsea. It's one of the richest areas in the whole country. But the north, where we live, has one of the highest concentration of people on low incomes. The growing inequality is pushing so many out the area. It's obvious global capital has no regard for people like me. It's the same story the world over, from Berlin to Rio, Madrid to New York. But maybe, because we're in such prime real estate, what we had to live through could be a warning for you all. So I've set out to learn from those who are in the know around here and tell you about it.
They want a Paris model. Yeah, where they push everyone out to the outskirts in the suburb where you can easily control that outside of the inner circle where they've taken over, and you've got to have a certain income to even be there. Otherwise, the only reason you're going to be going in there is to commute and go to work and do some menial task and come back out again and go back to the suburbs.
They look at this particular area as a gold mine, and the thing that's preventing them from being able to mine that gold is the presence of people here on social housing.
They were cutting back on all the repairs and maintenance, and they've been doing that for years very deliberately in this process we call managed decline. And if indeed it is proved, as we all believe, that a cheap job was done, if that's proved, but we think it probably will be, then that will be confirmation of our worst fears, and that's a very sort of deterministic and unpleasant warfare actually against people with low incomes.
Many of us now see a warfare by the rich in collusion with their mates in local government. They didn't represent us. They lied, they cut, they deregulated, and it killed. The council's representatives deny social cleansing. They tell us with a straight face they care about our community.
I don't feel that the issues are about social cleansing, as you put it. I can understand why people have explain it in those ways. For me, the issue is how is this council going to invest in that area and invest in ways that delivers community value for the people that are there, not moving the people that are there out to somewhere else. That's not an agenda at all.
So-called regeneration has hit our community with wave after wave of gentrification for decades. It swept away homes and community spaces. It replaced record shops with coffee shops, music venues with boutiques and bougie bars where we feel like outsiders. The streets we once called our own are now full of tourists and the rich. I can't tell you how many people I've seen move out because it's just too expensive.
And you know what, Ish, I swear, I've never felt such a difference between, when I say us and them, I'm talking class, I don't mean racial.
If we hear regeneration, we know it means degeneration. We know it means destruction. Any community now with the history of regeneration projects that exist know that if regeneration comes to your part of the hood, you best watch out. Because you look like if you don't battle against that and stop them, they're going to wipe out everything that you hold dear. Basically, you know, everybody who's been pushing the regeneration culture, is actually part of and colluding with. It's that head we need to chop off now, because it's that beast that created the Grenfell Tower fire. It's that culture that created it, and it's hundreds of years old. And they still see us, especially the African Caribbean population, as their former slaves.
Ed, a veteran activist around here, lived in Grenfell Tower. He warned countless times about deregulation and the flouting of fire safety standards. He said only a catastrophe would lead them to sea, and he was right.
The plan is not to have a plan, and that's a great plan when you're trying to run something down into the ground, you know, because you just don't invest in it. It's just not looked after. As Lanc West, we know. I mean, it just, you know, they allowed it to. I mean, slum is a strong word, but they allowed it to sort of slip into a slum-like status, which is disgusting, considering this borough has a third of it, or had a third of £1 billion in reserves. We've been losing all of our public buildings in North Kensington. The people that are responsible for that at RBKC, a small cabal of officers and senior councillors. They should have been keeping us safe in Grenfell Tower. I'm a resident of Grenfell Tower. I used to live on the 13th floor. And rather than keeping us safe, they spent their whole time and their whole concentration going around North Kensington, taking our library, our lovely 125-year-old North Kensington Library, our beautiful information centre underneath the flyover, and any other public assets they could get their hands on, including this beautiful building behind us. The building behind us, they purchased a freehold for £25.3 million without any consultation, without even the local Labour councillors knowing about it.
I put some of Ed's accusations to Barry Quirk.
I'm not going to comment on that. It seems to me that that's a very, very strong statement. All I can say is that I've looked at the issues that we're dealing with in relation to fire safety on housing. I'm making sure that we've got people that are, you know, directing the TMO, and we're directing work ourselves to make sure that people are safe.
But others like Emma level Ed's accusations directly at some of Quirk's colleagues, like former Deputy Council Leader Rockfield in Mellon.
They had massive master plans. Some people bringing in their experience from elsewhere, like one of the current deputy leaders who's a property developer, and others who were just merely aspiring to be property developers, like Rockfield and Mellon.
Before the fire, Field in Mellon was working for a property development company, slyly named Socially Conscious Capital. How socially conscious is it that while serving in public office, he was also being wined and dined by this man, Peter Bingle? This guy got rich convincing councils to sell off assets to his wealthy clients. Field in Mellon enjoys these 5-star lunches with him and pinches pennies from us.
You look out the window, and that's exactly the only thing you can see when you look out of the block is the school and the estate. So he would have been. He
can just wake up and be like, "Yep, I want that gone." I want that eyesore gone.
I know. It's look, they're doing it up now. So
hopefully,
what's happened to the estate? Nothing's happened to the estate, but filling cracks, doing the windows, touching up the paintwork. I mean, one of two things is true. Either that's a big middle finger to the people on the estate, or he's doing it up because he wants to get out of here and he's selling up, which
is the right thing to do. He should, he needs to go now. He needs to go now.
Big money and land bankers had plans for where we live, only we weren't part of it. Our local fight is against global enemies and structures. 8 guys have as much money as half the world because of the systems we are fighting. It doesn't matter if you're in London. If you're in their way, it's a wrap for you.
When you have a political class who are completely convinced, and it's the consensus among them, that the most functional economic philosophy for society is neoliberalism, whereby you have these big transfers of wealth and redistributions of wealth upwards, and the idea that there's cuts in tax for corporations, that there's subsidizing of the arms industry, subsidizing of the banking sector. Who pays the price for those things? It is the people who are the spine, the backbone, the heart and the lungs of the society. It is the people that really make it run.